Hello, we're back together again.
Yay. I love
Yay.
when we're together.
I do too. I do too. We're getting there. We're finding our groove again.
I know. I feel like I said this on the last episode that we recorded together. It's
Mhm.
just like a season of change
Yeah,
and no, I don't want to say distractions in a bad way.
sure.
Very good distractions as well, but we're just
Yeah.
like we're doing life.
We are
We've been
doing
li-
life.
we've been living.
Yep. We just
Sometimes it's hard to talk about living while you're living.
right. It's like, ooh, that's going through that right now.
Yeah. But we're here together again.
We are. And this is gonna be a good one. We even in the last 24 hours, if you guys were able to watch our Voxer conversation between Jenna and myself, you'd be like,
Thank
whoa, you
God they can't.
yeah, I know. Or you'd be like, wow, you ladies really dig in there. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And it simply started with me being like, so yesterday, huh? Couldn't use my words. Like, wasn't the best day.
And I was like, yesterday I overused my words. And then somehow we came to this like partner breakthrough
Yes.
that we like always do. We're like, oh shit, you're going through that too.
Always. Always. It's just so nice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, if you're listening and you're like, oh, I wish I had somebody to talk to, like call that in for yourself because it
Mm-hmm.
is the best. I mean, we both have fourth lines. Yes, I realize this for
Yeah.
profile, so it's extra cozy for us, but it's just so
It's,
nice to have that
yeah.
connection.
And I feel like too, because we've been like living, living
Yes.
life,
Yep.
we haven't been chit-chatting like consistently back to back all day, every day.
Right.
And I don't think that was intentional at all. But
No,
then, like,
no.
you dropped in and said something, and I was like, oh shit, I need to tell.
Right.
Yes. Like, where has Jess been? Like, this is what I need.
Yeah. And I felt the same way. Like, okay, yep, here we go. This is
We're
this
like,
is
oh
why
my
I
God, where's
shared.
she been? Why didn't I
Yeah.
message her earlier?
Right.
So I
Mm.
feel like we can kind of maybe kick off with saying what conclusion we came to. And it may not even feel like a conclusion, but
Sure.
being able to identify your feelings and your energy in your
Mhm.
day-to-day life can
Mhm.
be freaking transformative.
Yep.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the details of your life and
Yeah.
the day-to-day operations of your life and
Mhm.
sometimes forget that like holy shit, I'm an energy being, and when
Mm.
I'm feeling a certain way, that certain way is asking for my attention, or my
Yeah.
whole self is asking for my attention.
Right.
And I feel like we were kind of in that, just
Totally.
going autopilot, going through the motions,
Mhm.
which is not bad.
Sure.
But we came to this conclusion that Jess and I were feeling lukewarm in life.
Yes. Like
That's
Jenny
how we
used the
described
phrase
it.
lukewarm, and I immediately text as I'm still listening to the Voxer, like, I completely resonate with lukewarm.
Also lukewarm.
Yes.
Also sitting in my own lukewarm bathtub
Yeah.
of life.
Right.
Um, so I feel
Oh.
like it would be cool to describe what that means for you.
Oh, okay. Well, I can share that like in my body when Jenna voice memoed lukewarm, my body was like, oh yeah, that's it. Oh, it's
And
right
that's your
there.
sacral.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like
Yeah.
just that's it. And it's not cozy. Like lukewarm, it's uncomfortable. Like I don't like
Mm-hmm.
lukewarm. I don't it's like
Mm-hmm.
stagnant. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
used to be warm. It's going downhill. Like
Used to be
it's
hot and heavy, and now it's just lukewarm.
the potential. It's just going down.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a natural shift in life
Hmm.
with anything or experience, whether it's
Right.
a relationship or a job or a passion project or a
Sure.
hobby. Like, usually things start in the frequency of
Yes.
excitement, typically, right? Like, if
Sure.
it's
Some
something you've
heightened.
called or invited or, welcomed into your life,
Yeah.
it usually starts in this, yes, heightened energy.
Hmm.
And I think it's very natural for it to cool off or become lukewarm.
Hmm.
And that's actually a good signal to say, like, am I not appreciating this thing?
Yep.
Or am I not giving this thing enough attention? Or do I want this thing in my life? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
but the downfall of is when you don't notice that you've been like lukewarm.
Exactly. Because it like gets its uncomfortable comfortable.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
just is what it is.
Yeah. And I feel like we both kind of got there. And I don't
Yeah.
know if it was transits, probably just transits, right? It's not my
Good
problem.
eclipses.
Yeah. But I felt that too. Like when I was
Mm.
describing lukewarm, it was more for me. Like I didn't get that frustration, which is
Mm.
kind of what the sound you made was from your
Oh,
sacral,
totally.
which we're going to get into that.
Yes.
But mine was just, I mean, it probably was bitterness, which is my not self.
Mhm.
Again, going to get into it, but it was this like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I am not in my full expression, or I'm not
Yeah.
feeling whole.
Yes. Yes.
Like
Yes.
I don't feel that
Yes.
vitality in my life. Like it was like I was like
Totally.
missing that like that energy about life.
Right. Oh, your grounded earth energy.
Yeah.
Vitality. I love it.
Yes.
Speaking your design.
Yeah. So that's kind of what brought us to this conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Real life.
Real, very,
And
yes. Yes. Like,
I already feel
and
better
even on
from
this, like,
identifying that.
I know. Well, and like, I feel like you being able to speak that yesterday in just our one-on-one conversation, you've already processed so much and have a lot of clarity from the lack of clarity in that lukewarm energy. Where I'm like, well, I'm still in lukewarm. I'm still gonna dig into the clarity and those soul desires to get there. And that's great too. Like, it's all about that awareness and bringing it back and knowing like I want to feel different. Like I don't want to continue in this lukewarm now that it's been identified.
And as you're saying that, it reminds me of, I forget what episode this was, but we talked a lot about drifting.
Yes.
And when you're not intentional and speaking what it is you want, or at least not even what it is you want, but being what you want and showing up in the way that you want, you're going to drift. Like life is going to take you. Like that's kind of just, that's how energy works. If you're not being intentional with your energy will just be taken by or consumed by things in your life. And so I feel like that is
Totally
the same frequency or energy point on if we were to have some sort of scale of like lukewarm is a signal that maybe you're starting to drift and not be intentional.
Right.
And I think that's what gave me a lot of clarity, even since yesterday, of like, wait a second, I do know what I want. Like, why am I pretending I don't? Why am I pretending I want less?
Yes.
And yeah, kind of identifying those things, even if I don't necessarily have them or have manifested them yet. I'm like, oh, just focusing on them is like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not just floating down a river now. I mean, still am.
Sure.
But I'm present as I'm floating.
Yes. You maybe have a more
enjoying the view,
stable raft you're in, guiding yourself down the river.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And so pivoting into like what we want to bring to the discussion today.
Yeah.
I think we found ourselves in this very medium frequency of lukewarm.
Yep.
And there's actually a really simple way to kind of energy check yourself in life, which relates to your human design type.
Yep.
And Jess, do you want to kind of dive into signature and not self?
Sure. I mean, it's literally one of my favorite aspects of the chart. I know we've definitely brought it up in other episodes as well, but we want to give it kind of its place, more structure. But yeah, your signature. So like Jenna was saying, every energy type has its own signature and not self. And the signature is like aligned living, feeling good, like love this vibe. Whereas the not self, I always think of it as like your spirit, your energy's way of giving you like that little red flag, like, hey, something's off. And we're going to communicate that through the feeling of your not self. And we'll go through each energy type and what those are. So you can go, oh, like everyone I've told their signature and not self for their energy type, every single person's been like, oh, yep, nope, I know exactly how that feels. Yeah. Like it's very, very cozy for both of them.
Yeah. And I like the way that you say too, it's like when you're on track or off track in life.
Yes. Yeah.
Or, like you said, it could represent when you're in your high frequency or your
Mhm.
lower frequency. And it kind
Yep.
of gives you those like boundaries to
Right.
your energy experience and the feelings of your energy in this life, unique to your human design type. And I also would say your signature, that high vibration on track, is very much your spirit, like you're connected to your spirit self, right? Your higher self, your
Yes.
slice of source.
Yep.
And if you're feeling your not self, it's kind of an invitation to go into your subconscious self and see possibly what might be asking for attention, whether it's your inner child or your shadow or some belief or block that is kind of surfacing into your energy frequency and kind of bubbling up. So that's kind of how we can relate it to the map of you in the woods as well, which
Yep.
coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And it works very well together.
Yeah.
But like,
I feel like it's something easy. It's easy to forget though,
oh,
because we
yeah.
talk about so much in human design
Yes.
and like there's so much to digest
Yes.
that this is so simple that it's sometimes I feel like looked past.
It
And
totally,
it's also I feel like one of the most powerful things.
Yeah. Yep.
To shift your energy in a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause I feel like when I do tap in or like acknowledge signature, not self, it's like I can't hide from it because there's such a body connection to it for me, particularly, but I imagine for everyone in some way, shape, or form. That it's like, oh, you can't, even if mentally you want to be like, oh, I didn't feel that. But you did. You did.
Yeah. And it's so cool because I mean, a lot of what's in human design has this power, but it's so simple in the sense that like you can feel any feeling at any moment in time. Like in the present moment, you and me could get really sad right now, Jess, if we wanted to like go there.
Yeah.
We could get really hyped up and motivated and excited. We could feel success. We could feel failure right now. Like any way that we want to go, we can manifest that feeling in our bodies just in this present moment. There's nothing external that needs to happen to feel those feelings. And so when you are able to kind of do an energy check and say like, what am I feeling right now? And am I feeling my signature? It's easy to like think of one thing to help you feel your signature and you're already kind of getting yourself back on track. It's like the quickest transformation that you can experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, I'll just start with generators and we can kind of go through all of them. But for generators, that signature, that on track is going to be a sense of satisfaction. And I always like to say it's like an internal job well done. It's just this
I love that.
Yeah, it's just this like cozy, like I always think of it as just like a cozy satisfaction blanket. Like, oh yeah, Jess, like, oh, you did so good. But it's not external. It's not that I need validation from somebody to tell me I did a good job. It's I'm satisfied because my lit up sacral is doing its passion, lit up. It's great. And that, I think for a lot of generators, it can be as easy as like, yeah, if you checked off your to-do list and it was like, an aligned to-do list, you're going to feel so freaking satisfied when you check every single one of them off. Like it's just even that simple of thing can bring that satisfaction for a generator. And then the not self, that kind of off track lower vibe, is going to be a sense of frustration. And I really think there's like a spectrum of that just from like my lived experience. Like there can be like almost like little like pet peeves. There's that like little frustration to like triggered
just a little
yes, just like yeah, it is. And as a generator, you are going to make those noises. Like you're just the more kind of guttural noise, it just like like those are all just frustration.
Yeah, those are signs that you're maybe in frustration.
Yeah. Yeah. And even people around you, like if they know that, that can help to go, hey, like I'm also picking up on this red flag for you. Like, let me support you here. So, very little poker face, I feel like, with a defined sacral for those gut sounds, guttural sounds there. But yeah, that frustration, I do kind of feel like it's on a spectrum. At least that's how I've experienced it. And that's just simply, again, spirit, body, soul just saying, hey, are you going to keep allowing this to go on this way? Like, this frustration is going to get more and more and more if you're not addressing this, if you're not going to acknowledge your authenticity here, or, staying lukewarm. That's frustration is just going to heighten. That's kind of how it is presenting itself.
Sticking with like the generator signature, not self, and kind of just diving into you and your experience with it. Do you notice themes in your life where you consistently feel frustrated versus where you consistently feel satisfaction?
Yes. I always default to like the positive, to the satisfaction, like, oh yeah, satisfaction. I can blah, 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 give you those. So let me first dive in more to the frustration one. Yes. I mean, I would say a like repeated pattern is doing work that didn't need to be done in any areas of life. Like, it's not like a particular, like, oh, when I just am in a corporate thing, or like anything. If it's, oh, I made dinner, but then it didn't get enjoyed, or like anything in that regard. That is something. And I say that because I'm also learning, I've now like, to not have that frustration, I can put up walls quicker to be like, well, do I need to do that? Do I need to do that? And I'm exploring that more and more. It's like, oh, is this healthy? Is this not healthy? Like, just seeing that as well, kind of the patterning that can come from trying to minimize the frustration, because it's like an annoyance, right? Like, ugh. And I know that also stems from working in certain work environments that were very fast paced. So there a lot of opportunities to do work that never got reviewed, or we never went down that road. Like, that was just kind of the nature to really explode that patterning for me too. But that is I would say, one of the frustrations or triggers for frustration that I have noticed over year, like, can see that patterning
consistently, or and I would say, I just want to add in here that, like, it's not, you're always going to feel you're not self at some point.
Oh,
like,
yes. Oh,
it's
yes.
not about avoiding it, but the more that you pay attention to it, you can protect your energy and curate your life to keep yourself from drifting into frustration more often. Then you need to go there.
Absolutely. And like, for me currently, it's more so, asking those questions, understanding scope of things, and just having more of that dialogue to go, oh, okay. Like, I can see what's needed for my skill set.
Which is also just so generator of you.
Oh, 100%.
Like, give me all the information. Let me at least see 2 to 3 steps ahead. Like, just let me know what's next.
Yes, totally.
What is needed, truly needed.
Yep. So like, speaking up, right? Like, it's using my voice more in that way. Because like, I do want to do the doing, right? Like, I do want to contribute and have that component. And to stay in that satisfaction of like, okay, I'm on track. I'm doing what's expected, and we're having good partnership and all of that. But yeah, that's probably the biggest one that comes to mind first for frustration.
And then what about satisfaction?
I mean, for me, it's probably always going to be my relationships. Like, I've curated just incredible people in my life. So any interaction most of the time is just like, I love talking to you.
Just
I love
being
with you.
I love it.
Yeah. I just so grateful. So grateful that there's no shortage of gratitude with the relationships I have.
Yeah. And I just think that's like, these are just, like we said, so simple to explore.
Totally.
And probably revisit you know, again and again, as life takes you in different directions, like what does satisfy me now in this era of my life? It
Mhm.
might be different than a year ago or even 2 days
Yes.
ago.
Yep.
And continuing to honor yourself and move towards that signature feeling
Yes.
is likely a sign that you're following your strategy, likely a sign that
Yep.
you're following your authority. And so,
Totally.
kind of paying attention to when you're in what energy or what frequency,
Mhm.
those are always invitations to say, like, if you are in frustration, you know, just did you respond or did you trust your gut, you know,
Yep.
along the
Totally.
way when you found yourself in those frustrating moments?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would
all
just
works
say for
together.
those sacral beings, like something that can also kind of tap you in to the satisfaction is like moving your body in a
Mhm.
fun way, right? Like in a joyful, light sort of way. That is always like if I'm really feeling in a funk, it's like, okay, let's like put some tunes on for a few and like
Mhm.
move this energy. Or if it's a beautiful day, I'm getting outside. And that's just like a lovely satisfaction boost, I would say, for sacral
Mhm.
beings in general.
Yeah. Can we dive into me next?
Absolutely.
Before like
Projectors.
going straight down the list, because you
Yeah.
actually made me think of something there.
Great.
So my signature is success.
Yeah.
So any projector, your signature is success. So when you feel success, that's typically a sign that you are moving in the direction of your highest self, in the direction that your spirit wanted to move. You are feeling aligned, you are being aligned. The not self then is bitterness. So anytime you're feeling bitterness about work, about others, about life, about where you're at,
Yeah.
it's a sign that your spirit is not the thing guiding you. It's likely your ego.
Yeah.
Um, when you were saying you like to move your body,
Mhm.
I was kind of like thinking about what does success feel like for me, you know, as you were
Mhm.
talking as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you brought up your like moving your body as an easy way to get back into satisfaction as a sacral being,
Yeah.
I thought my relationship to my body is when I take care of my body,
Mhm.
I feel success. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like movement or activity that might include it, but it
Sure.
was this line of like, when I take care of my body, I feel successful. That's my like,
Yes.
that's the way I can feel success immediately. And then it made me think about, okay, well, success overall, it is kind of when I'm taking care of the other or of
Mhm.
something,
Mhm.
right? So, like, that
Yes.
is that guiding energy as a
Yes.
projector. When I am nurturing and taking care of something or diving deep into something that feels successful to me.
Yeah.
And for me, it comes up mostly in supporting the other, like one on one,
Totally. Mhm.
and their personal, you know, needs, like being able to really penetrate and guide,
Mhm.
but then also in like creation and being creative. Like when I paint a painting, it can be ugly as fuck and I might throw it away. But if I did it and like had fun doing it, I'm like, oh, so successful, like great
Right.
day.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, yes.
so yeah, when it's like when I'm taking care of myself and something else or the other,
Yeah.
that's success for me.
Yeah.
And then I think bitterness shows up when, well, one, when I'm not being invited to take care of anything, right? Or when I'm not
Yes.
being even, or when I don't have the space to take care of myself, which
Sure.
I always do and I can always create it. But when I think I don't have the space to kind of take
Totally.
care of myself
Yep.
and nurture myself, that's when like bitterness will arise. And it's usually directed externally as if
Yeah.
work or, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
the market or something
Mhm.
is not necessarily at fault, but I think it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like for projectors, I always describe that sense of success as like success for the other, due
Mhm.
to like you being able to guide, you getting that invitation, like getting that
Mhm.
authentic invite, and then seeing like, oh, they listen, like look
Yeah.
at it manifest, like such the sweet
Yes.
spot. But then it's interesting because it's like projectors, you need the other.
Mhm.
Like, and I've never really sat in that for satisfaction, or excuse me, for the
Success.
signature and not self.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
interesting.
is interesting, but like I said, like it starts with taking care of yourself.
Yes, yes, yes.
I could be not taking care of myself, whether that's like mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever lens, I'm
Mhm.
not honoring myself and nurturing myself. And then I can go try to take care of the other and
Right.
it doesn't work, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes. If it's like
I
a
mean,
people pleasing type of,
exactly. It's coming
yeah.
from the ego of like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling successful, so let me go help you feel successful.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
first experience of success is taking care of yourself and honoring yourself and your own needs. And then
Totally.
through that, it's so easy
Mm-hmm.
to then guide the other and amplify the success and keep
Right.
feeling it.
Yeah. And like magnetize your energy, right? And like,
Mhm.
and allow for that attraction of those invitations to come your
Mhm.
way.
And also with not self, as I'm thinking about bitterness and thinking about moments when I've gotten bitter, even
Yes.
just
Yes.
recently, and I think about it like, okay, say it's a work thing and I'm getting bitter about what I'm doing or whatever it is. The next question, like, it's funny, right? Like, it can be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Once you notice that you're in your not self, it's like, what? How on
Oh.
brand of me? How on brand of me to be bitter about this? Like, this isn't even real because it's literally
love
just like a
that.
programmed energy that I'm meant to mechanically feel when I'm not in alignment.
Right.
So when I feel bitterness, like the next thing that I would ask myself is, well, what do I want that I'm not getting?
Mm,
Or what do I think I want that I'm not
sure.
getting? And that
Yes.
usually like opens the door to like what I'm actually upset about.
Yes. Right.
And it's
Right.
not
Right.
the surface level material thing usually. And that kind of
Totally.
opens the door to like explore your inner world and see where you're not,
Yep.
recognizing or being grateful for what you have or whatever it is that's
Yeah.
stimulating that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a good call out because it is. It's I feel like you need to first identify that surface layer to then go, oh, wait a minute. There's some
There's
more
more.
here. Yeah. Yeah. It's so good though. It's so, yeah. I feel like that works for,
And like when we're talking about feeling lukewarm,
mhm.
we kind of weren't asking that question.
Right.
Right? Like
No.
we were staying
Yes.
in whatever it was, frustration and bitterness, or,
Yes.
we were staying in that surface level emotion
Yes.
and looking externally to pinpoint what can we change? What can we do differently? Like, but it's really a doorway to your inner world, to the woods within you to see
Yes.
like, okay, what
Yes.
needs nurtured and loved upon here?
Totally. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
It's so
Okay.
good.
Should we go into the other
Sure.
types?
Sure. Well, and so I can elaborate for manifesting generators because it's very similar with
Mhm.
generators because both sacral beings. So for MGs, you're also your signature things on track is going to be that sense of satisfaction. So very similar. I would say maybe the kind of other flavor for an MG is you may have more satisfaction in kind of the like bopping around. Like,
Mhm.
you're going to have more of those passions. So, where a generator, it's more kind of like a stepwise
Mhm.
checking the things
I hear
off.
you like bouncy
Yes. Yes.
even.
Yeah. So that it can have its own kind of flair there between the two energy types. And then for the not self, for an MG, it can kind of vary. It's going to be either frustration and or anger. Typically, when I tell an MG, like, hey, do you resonate more with frustration or anger? Like right away, it's like
They know.
frustration or anger. There's things
Yeah.
you can look at in your chart that can maybe lead you one way or another. But usually, when I just open up that conversation, and I would say I have a lot more lean towards anger than
Mm.
frustration, just who I've worked with. I don't,
Mhm.
just putting it out there.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that because I feel like anger is not discussed at all
love
in our society.
Anger is like I feel like anger is an ongoing digestion between you, me, and Jenny.
Yes. Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
Jenny's usually kind of leading us to
Yeah.
feel it, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this emotion's gonna always pop up on this freaking podcast, anger.
It will. It
We all
will.
need to get more
What is
familiar with
this
that
anger?
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are an MG and you're like, oh, yeah, I lean more when things are off track, I lean more anger than frustration, or I lean more towards
Mhm.
frustration. Just be aware of that.
And I was going to say, even just for anyone, because we all kind of experience all of these on the spectrum of our own,
Totally.
like emotional experience. But like, what's the difference between frustration and anger for you? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
because to me, I think I'm feeling anger, but I'm probably just frustrated.
Sure.
Like
Yep.
I'm just curious what that feels like and how it feels differently for everyone too. It's just a good
Right.
question to dive into because I don't even know if I have a clear,
Yeah.
distinct answer between those two.
Right. But great to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And just kind of see what comes up,
Yeah.
bring that awareness. Yeah. And, tying on with that for like manifestors. So, we had
Mhm.
generators, manifesting generators, and then manifestors. Um, their not self is anger. Like that,
Mhm.
that is what it is. Where their signature, when things are on track, it's a sense of peace. And
Mhm.
that's, I feel like, very unique for a manifester, that peace. And since we both live with a manifester, being
Does
able
that
to
land
see it, yeah, see
for
one
you?
in peace, I'm like, oh, it like brings me peace. Like I am just like, oh, there
Mhm.
it is. That's nice.
Literally, that's what I said when I was asked, "How did you know Nick was the one?" And I was like, "I just feel a sense of peace."
Oh,
Which
I love it.
was that valid or was it just his energy? No, I'm kidding.
Just
Totally
love
kidding.
that energy
But like
type.
that's exactly what I've always identified, even before I ever knew human design,
Yeah.
how I identified feeling around him,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, I
cool.
love that. That is cool.
And I feel that his not self is anger.
Yes. Oh,
Like
yes.
I can, and
Yes.
it's
Yep.
rare that he's there because he's
Sure.
very aligned and
Sure.
true to himself. And but there are moments where I'm like, whoa, peace gone. The peace is
He's
gone.
gone.
Like it's literally, I don't know if he necessarily goes fully into
Yeah.
anger. Like
Right.
he
Right.
never like,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that's healthy, but he never like is outwardly angry.
Sure.
But there's like a sudden emptiness of like,
Sure.
no more peace.
Right. Right.
He
Yeah.
has
Oh,
something
yeah.
he's like feeling.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and that's their truth, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
I
their
know.
expression. I mean,
Yeah.
they're meant to initiate. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, anger will do that. Like,
Yep.
oh, there it is. But
Yep,
yeah, it
for
is
sure.
a very I mean, manifestors are a small percentage anyways. So just
Mhm.
seeing like through David that peace and then the not peace when there is
Hashtag not peace.
anger. Yeah, right? Like not peace. Um yeah, I always feel for manifestors just to be like, well, you gotta process it, right? Like
Mhm.
we say like anger is such this bad thing, but it's just, well, how's it going to get processed? Like, what's the
Mhm.
healthy way to do that? So, if you have any kiddos who are manifestors, that's something to really, and if for any energy type, any kiddo, if you know
Mhm.
their human design, like this can be a very nurturing aspect to be aware of for them.
Yeah, I love that you said that too. And I think a good addition to that is none of these feelings are better or worse or right or wrong or safe
Hmm.
or unsafe.
Hmm.
All
Right.
of these are like valid to experience and feel, and we all feel and experience them in this lifetime. And actually, the more
Yeah.
familiar we are with like how they feel in our bodies and when they
Mm-hmm.
show up and how to actually process them in a contained safe space and allow
Yeah.
these feelings to move through you, I mean, the less scary they are. So if like anger feels like something that you don't connect to, which is probably the one that like,
Right.
we don't connect to the
You're right.
most, like we don't
Yeah.
tap into the most.
No. Yeah.
I mean, the just the less scary it gets.
Right. Right.
Like anger is
Absolutely.
okay. Anger is safe to
Yes.
feel.
Yes. Totally. Totally.
So
And the last is our dear old reflectors.
reflectors.
Yes, yes, yes. So surprise, a sense of surprise. Because they have a very sampling aura. So it's like a, fun, um, in alignment when that sense of surprise is experienced. And then on the flip side, the not self is a sense of disappointment, which kind of makes sense for that like surprise, disappointment, kind of that
Hmm.
spectrum there.
Like you think, I'm like thinking of, oh, you think you're gonna have a surprise party and you don't? That's
Oof,
disappointing.
so
Like
disappointing.
literally that's the opposite feeling of like, huh,
Right? Yeah.
didn't get what I wanted.
Right. Right.
um,
Totally.
but yeah, and I feel like the surprise is it's a sign that your spirit is getting to soak in different ways of being in this
Yes.
lifetime, which is really what a reflector is here to do. Like you're really here, like you said, to sample, and your spirit wanted to try on different things and soak in different communities and environments.
Yeah.
And so if you're feeling disappointed, it might be an invitation to reflect on, is this environment still good for me? Is this community
Totally.
still right for me? Or even on a smaller scale, like, do I want to eat here? Like this
Yeah.
is, you know,
Yep.
this is not lighting me up in my own unique reflector way.
Right. Totally. And even like with all of these, a very simple thing you can do for whatever your energy type is if you're like, okay, like I'm on, this is like something intriguing. Like I'm like activated by this. End of the day, you can always do a quick list of when did I feel a sense of your signature and a sense of your not self, and just like
Mhm.
literally just write them out. And if you
Mhm.
want to go deeper on them, cool. Then ask yourself why.
Mhm.
Like why did I feel satisfied by this? Why was I frustrated by this? Like, and that alone is going to really bring more intention and awareness to like these patterns that you'll start to see. But it's a very easy exercise just to like continue to tap into your signature and not self.
Yeah, I love that. And the thing that was coming to me as an exercise, maybe
Mhm.
in addition or in partnership with that, is drawing a line on a piece of paper, a horizontal line, and putting your signature on the right, your not self on the left,
Mhm.
and putting a marker in the middle. And just like play, whether you pull up the emotion wheel or whatever it is, you just
Yep.
literally Google emotions, or you just want to pay attention into in your own life and become more aware. Like, what are some feelings that you feel that are like leading you towards, maybe for a projector, for me, success?
Yep.
Or what are some signs that I'm getting towards like bitterness? Because
Yeah.
there probably will be some like taps on the shoulder even before then. And
Totally.
you can kind of even create your own marker
Yeah.
for
Oh, I
how
love
you're
that.
feeling.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
for
like
us,
even if you
I
do
feel like
that for
lukewarm would
5
be right in the middle.
emotions. Yeah, right? Yes,
Sorry, go ahead.
lukewarm, lukewarm.
What would you say?
Like, even if you did 5 emotions, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you just, like, kind of stuck with that for a little bit,
Hmm.
and then you'll probably notice, like, actually, I'm feeling this other thing, like,
Hmm.
just kinda can cultivate that.
And then the best trick of that is put yourself at the middle, which is kind of what the map of you is going to teach you, and just bring
Yes.
success towards you
Mm,
and release bitterness, right? Like you
mhm.
can feel success, you can feel your signature right now. Maybe even just at the end of this podcast episode, when we wrap up, take a moment to practice feeling your signature in your body. And if you
Yep,
need to think about things that make you feel that, that can be a starting point, but just like feel the sensations
yep,
of your signature in your body just to start to stimulate that direction in your life.
absolutely.
Because I feel like the
Always.
permission slip here that we want to give everybody is that you're always going to ebb and flow, first and
Mhm.
foremost, between these feelings and the spectrum of feelings and energies in this quantum world. But there is a permission slip to experience your signature more. Like
Yes.
you can feel success even when you're failing, right?
Please do.
Like even when you're bitter, you can feel success. Like it's there's not it's not no, what did I say yesterday? Nothing is absolutely true.
Yes, you did. You did say that.
Nothing about this universe is absolutely true.
Right,
Nothing is mutually exclusive.
right.
This whole place is really made up. So
Pretty
we want to kind
much.
of invite you to invite your signature into
Yes.
your day-to-day life in every freaking moment.
Absolutely. I'm totally here for it. I think that's the power of the signature.
Do you feel satisfied by this episode?
Always. I always feel
I love
satisfied with
that.
the
I
podcast. I
feel
love it.
successful. I'm like
Yes.
helped people, like was
Yep.
in my creation,
Mhm.
intimate one-on, like I just
Mhm.
success.
Yes. Absolutely.
How cool.
Yeah, and just really allow your like receive that. I'll go full circle for myself with receiving it, like receive that signature, right? Like
Mhm.
allow that high vibe to come into your reality any moment. Like it
Mhm.
is all possible.
It's always right there. That's
It
what I
is
thought you were
always.
gonna say. Like it's
Yep.
always right next to you, waiting to
Mhm.
be experienced.
Oh, it is.
How cute. I just
Oh.
pictured like a little, like, old Lizzie McGuire, little character. Like there's
Yes.
just like a little successful Jenna on the desk right now. And she's just like, hey, I'm here.
Yes.
If you want to hang out, like we can be successful right now
Right?
as
Like I'm the
projectors.
best.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Cute. Your little spirit self. I mean, really, that's what it is.
It is. It is. Just can tap into it. But if you guys
Right.
have any questions on signature, not self, hit us up. You can do
Mhm.
so on Instagram. And remember, it's at Woods Within, the
Mhm.
Woods Within. I don't know if that came out that way.
It's the Woods Within.
The Woods Within. You can always DM us, can always comment. Like, we love the discussions, we love connecting. If you love this episode, you can always leave a review. We love reading
Please
them. That's also
do.
a little hit of success and satisfaction.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love it. I love reading those so much.
I know. We should read a few on here
Ooh, okay, let's do that. We'll do that.
just to like put us into our signature before we start a conversation.
I love it. Yes.
Look at that. Practice.
Next
Bring in
episode.
simple
Done.
practice. Cool.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you have a very signature day.
I love it.
And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Sounds good to me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.